Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see by today's title, we will be talking about Not Me. Now listen, with this whole review, with this whole, everything wrong with series on my channel, I try to do series that I'm not actively reacting to, just shows I've just seen. However, I can't keep Not Me's name out of my mouth. I can't. I can't. So I decided, you know what? Let me go through, even though you guys saw my reaction to the series, let me go through and get my thoughts and opinions. If you didn't know, in this series, when I review an actual show, I go character by character. Basically, it's a character analysis of all the characters, and then at the end, get my thoughts and opinions on the show as a whole. So there will be spoilers as I talk about the characters and their role in the story. So you haven't seen the show or finished the show, go do that first and then come back here. Also, while you're here, go to the description box below and become a patron. I'm trying to get to 100 patrons so I can get my camera replaced. If you guys want to help support, help me replace it, please consider becoming a patron. Once I get 100 patrons, I will react to Fish Upon, not Fish Upon Sky. Oh my gosh, just kidding. Tales Without Stars and Bad Buddy. So if you guys want to see the reactions to those, help your boy out and become a patron. Okay, so I predict this video might be pretty long. I'm gonna try not to ramble on too much, so it's not that long. But if it is, I apologize. Grab a snack and come on back, okay? Because what I'm gonna do is, like I said before, I'm gonna go through the characters, but I'm kind of gonna go through, I guess, my wants, like things I wish the show would have done or explained or shown, or if they could have implemented this, or if they could do like a side story, like do like a flash sideways during certain scenes that we didn't get to see. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool actually if they kind of did that, like maybe like 3 episodes, maybe like make them like an hour long each, and kind of have scenes that happen in between certain episodes so we can see what other characters were doing at that time. That'd be kind of lit. So that's kind of my point of view when I'm giving my review of the characters and whatnot. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so first we're gonna start off with the White and Black's parents. Start with the dad. It says here he was only in 2 episodes, episode 1 and episode 3. I kind of wish there was a moment where, because the last we saw him, he was fighting with White. White said an opinion at this interview for him that made the boss people kind of upset. But since White's father has so much power, or whatever the case may be, White's privilege got him got him accepted, even though he made them angry with his stance on something. I forgot what his stance was exactly, but it was he said the wrong thing. But because of his daddy, they were like, okay, that's fine. Just get your son in check, but tell him to come on. But this caused White and his dad to argue, and then White left his dad's house and went to live with. Either he went to Black's place that night, or he went to, I think he went to Goomba and Sean's place at the garage that night. Now, I kind of wish we would have saw the dad again, especially when Black came back. Maybe he see his father because he hadn't seen him in years since he was a kid, and maybe see White again after White's been on the news for that whole thing, getting kidnapped, getting rescued, getting charged with the crimes. Like it would have made sense to kind of see that interaction happen. I know that you may think that's not necessary. The story's not about the dad. Obviously, it's not about the dad. However, he is a character in the show, and it's going to make sense for the characters, the sons, to meet their father again after everything happened and see how the dad feels. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have taken that long. It would have been that crazy. Same for the mom. She's in the same category. We did see her reunite with White for a moment, and it seems like she's like in the mix. Like I think she's a judge, right? So she's letting people get away with stuff, or maybe she's on the payroll. Like her role in this criminal organization stuff, it's a little murky. It's a little murky, and she knows what's going on, kind of, sorta. I think we could have seen her again, and I don't know what capacity though. I don't know what capacity, because I guess her interacting with Black, but I don't know. Black, he has other characters he should interact with more than mom, because we'll get to Black, but I I think I guess it would be nice for the boys to talk to their mom, but kind of drag her, or kind of, I don't know. But with the parents, there could have been at least one more scene with them, maybe together, meeting the parents, and maybe the parents interact and kind of see what that family dynamic is now that they're older and they did all this crime stuff, right? Next, we're getting to we. He didn't seem as antagonistic as he was made out to be, in my opinion. I suspect he's just a figurehead. He's not in the mix of all the moving parts of the crime and whatnot. I'm sure he's aware of it. I'm sure he has some role, I guess. But he came off more of a nice guy than I thought he would have, even behind the scenes. I know he was unraveling in the last episode, but like it wasn't nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. I know he might have gotten the fall for all that stuff that happened, but we didn't spend much time with him after that. So I don't know what happened with him. Do I care? Maybe. I'm more concerned with that guy who basically blackmailed Dan. Like, who is he? Who is he? He seems like a more of an important figure. Like, they brought him in for a scene and that was it. I wish they would have had him in the. I wish we would have. Maybe he could have been. That could have been his father, and like there's more things going on behind the scenes than we knew, or we could have suspected, and that could have played in. That's what I would have wanted. I wanted to explain his role for real, and then that older gentleman who was threatening folks and scaring folks. Now, speaking of threatening folks, we have his henchman, Teach Techit. I can't pronounce his name, but this guy, he was doing the most. He raided the garage. He fighting them in the factory that one time. He kidnapped them in the middle by the hospital. It was insane. Now I don't know what happened to him afterwards. I'm sure you guys are filling the blanks. Maybe I missed it when I was reacting, but I don't know what happened because he let them escape but I mean he had no choice. All the protesters were around the truck. They weren't moving. They got them out, and I didn't know what he was supposed to do in that point. But he seemed a little more shaken and stirred, kind of like he seemed calm, cool, and collected in any other scene we've seen him in. But that scene, he was just like stuck on stupid. What's going on with him? Like, I think you guys may have told me what happened with him. It maybe was said on the news, but if you guys can, let me know again in the comment section below what happened to him exactly, because I'm not sure. Now he wasn't a major player, but he was prominent, a prominent henchman for the bad guys. So I was like, okay, well, what's going on with him? Because he was out of character. Maybe he got caught. Maybe he's scared to get caught. Maybe that figurehead guy, the old man, threatened him too, and now he's worried about his family. I don't know, but that's what it was giving. Okay, next we have Nutch. Now Nutch was a character that I kind of Nutch was a character that was kind of on the opposite end of what the boys were doing. They were more so in the protesting route and doing it, getting things to change in a different way than the boys. And it was very interesting that we didn't get to see them that much. Now I don't know if it would have made sense to see them outside of the protesting context, because they're basically not opposing, but a different route to go, and gave information about what was going on, about the underprivileged people, the queer folk, and it was very much that. Now I saw people wish that they would have ended up with Graham. I guess I wouldn't mind that. Like I felt no way. I don't feel any ways about that. Either way, it could have went with Graham with her or Graham with Nutch. Like I don't with it didn't bother me. But I do think having Nutch be more of an opposing force, like kind of maybe because Nutch was always in Graham's ear. I kind of wish Nutch was in more people's ears, maybe more into whites or blacks' ear a little bit more, and we got to Sean's ear a little bit to kind of change their mind, kind of open their eyes to certain things, maybe make them think about things a little bit further, smarter. I mean, they did drag them when they got out of the van, so we got that part, but I kind of wish there was a little bit, a tiny bit more. A tiny bit more. Next character, Namu. Okay. So Namu was a character that was very minor. However, I really want to know more about her. Now, as far as characters we get to spend alone time with, point of view characters, I was surprised we got a little bit from her. Now, she was a supporting character for Sean's story, but we did get to see her kind of the aftermath after she found out that Sean didn't pick her. He picked a white. Now, I thought they were boot up, but they gave like best friend vibes when they first saw. But I was kind of like, maybe they are boot up. I don't know. I wasn't sure what route the show was going with the character, like how if there's gonna be just Sean's, good Judy or a love interest. And we did see her in his bed that one time when White came home to the room and she was in the bed like, "Ooh, my bad," And I was like, "Oh, they might be boot up." And then it was confirmed after she found out that Sean's with White or Black at that time, and she said they weren't actually a couple. They were just, I guess friends with benefits. Now, because of how she interacted with Sean, also with Yoke, with the whole art thing and finding, Dan. Like she wasn't looking for Dan, but like she knew about him. I kind of wish she had interactions with those two a bit more too, as far as the art side goes, and kind of because I kind of even though she was mine, I kind of want to know more about her. Like I want to know like what's her deal with Sean, like how they met a little bit. Now we didn't need a full dedicated scene. Like, well, I guess we need a scene, but we didn't need a bunch of scenes. Maybe we could have like a scene early on, maybe one in the middle, and then that was it, and then play the story of how it played out. Just a slither of something, because I do like her, and she seems to be she didn't fall in that trope of the female characters being like antagonistic and upset because their love interest is not with them. She was sad. She showed emotions, and she's able to, and she is. I think she's allowed to do that. I just think that sometimes when they do these shows, they have the girl go crazy and like do all this crazy mess and be doing a lot. Now, we don't know the relationship she had with Sean fully, but clearly she was in love and her heart was broken. I feel for homegirl, but I'm glad that she wasn't. She still remained his good friend to him, to Yoke, and she was cool about it. It was just so hard to see her cry. I was like, oh my God, baby girl. And then he came back to her when he was heartbroken. And she was like, boy, you came to me after you broke my heart. Anyways, come here. You all right? Like she's best girl. She is best girl. Speaking of best girl, we got Eugene. Now, I kind of felt about Eugene. She seemed kind of not whiny. I don't want to say whiny, but she seemed kind of like, I don't know. Her character seemed to be it seemed to have put her in just to be a love interest. And I'm not saying that's all she was, but she kind of fleshed out a little bit more. Because we saw her dancing, we saw what she did, what she liked to do, which I liked. I like that we got characters' interest in this show to make them more three-dimensional, even though we didn't spend that much time with them. Namu with her art, Eugene with her dancing, it gave them more of a characterization beyond them being like the love interest of these boys. I think that her storyline with Black, it was important because, she was booed up with him, but he kept playing her for one reason or another. And then she had Graham pursuing her. And I guess he was trying to tell her, know your worth. I can treat you better than he can. And maybe he was right. I don't doubt it. I do like the fact that she wasn't gung ho and trying to be with him from the jump. She was like, you know what? Like, you need to put the brakes. I'm going through it. I'm going through it. Honestly, it wasn't after she kind of was like into it after a while, but then she was really with it once, you know, she reunited with Black, the real Black. He apologized to her, gave her a hug, all that good stuff. And then after they got rescued, she was like, okay, we can do this, Graham. You can get it. And he was like, oh. So I do like her. I'm glad that she was like a one note type of character because she could have been just a love interest and kept it moving. But she's also protesting, so she was part of the whole thing. These characters are so, they have more layers to them. I love that. I love that. The next character is Todd. Mother loving Todd. I don't know. I don't know what the story was about him in the novel or the I know this it wasn't an actual novel that this is based on, but it was based on a story that they kind of just adapted. I'm not sure who he's supposed to be with or what's going on with him, but him being like another antagonistic character, especially one that is that was seen to at the beginning he was helping White find out who beat up Black, and then we found out he was the one who did it, but for some reason he just wanted him to get beat up. He didn't want him to finish the job. I don't remember what Black was doing that Todd had to like put a stop to it, but he had to put a stop to it. And like when we found out he was the one who did it, I was shook. That was a twist. Even though we all were suspicious of him, so it wasn't too much of a twist. We also were suspicious, especially when we saw him again when he had that big old rich penthouse. We're like, where you get his money from? And we thought he was a son of Tui. We thought this, we thought that. Come to find out, he wants to overthrow Tui and take over the company, take over things, and be the figurehead and do the change that the boys want to do in his way by going on the inside and being the one who's in charge, which is a different route. Um, Sing acted in this role, especially later on. In the beginning, it was fine, but later on, when he reunited with Black, it was insane, y'all. It was insane. I was shook. I was shook. I could not believe they're like tit for tat dynamic. They can't kill each other, but they can beat each other up. They can really hurt each other physically. Like he almost killed him. He drowned him, but he stopped him after he drugged him. That was insane. That was insane. I guess I get why he didn't finish the job while he was in that hotel because he could have clearly finished the job. Not, oh my God, hospital. When Black was in the hospital, he could have, he visit him in the hospital with his brother. He used his brother to get information and kind of like it's the villainy of him. Like he's an anti-villain, Todd, which I kind of like. He had his reasons, but he went down the route a different like our main boys are anti-heroes. He's the anti-villain. I was kind of shook, shaken, and stirred by that. I kind of love it. I kind of love it. Now, him being beat up at the end, I did not like that. I kind of in my head, I thought he was helping Black. I guess Black beat him up, and now he's in the hospital now, and he may return. Black couldn't kill him either, so like, what's gonna happen with that? It's a lot. It's a lot. But I liked his character. I just wish we got more. I guess more backstory when they were young, because I know he's their friend when they were younger. But what exactly happened between Todd and Black? That'd be a good side story type of episode. Like kind of see what happened between the two. What happened when Black beat him up? Because didn't he have his men there? I don't understand. Like how did that even happen? And I know Black could be fighting. He know how to fight, but like. That scene when they were in the room fighting with the guns, it was a lot. It was a lot. Next character we have is Dan. Oh my gosh. First of all, Fluke Gowan's acting as Dan was top tier, immaculate. I really felt like him and First really. I mean, the skinship, the emotion, the chemistry was through the roof. The chemistry between these two was through the roof. Gowan, you went off, you went ham. I really like his character. His whole like he's a cop, but he's doing his graffiti art to go against the system, but he's also trying to atone for what he did with killing Sean's father and him joining the ranks of the gang, but then he had to betray them because his parents are getting blackmailed and yo. That's insane. That's insane. And he's one of the characters that we didn't get to spend time with him alone too much. We did with like flashbacks, like especially when we found out how he betrayed them. But he wasn't a character that we got the point of view of like spend time with him alone. He was proxy through Yoke, and I love how they did that. They did the same with Sean. I mean, Sean did get his solo moments in the show. However, we got to know Sean through White, through that dynamic, and the way I love how they do. I love how when they do that in this show, they have these other characters that are the love interests, supporting characters to our main ones. I see White and First as the main ones because we spend a lot of time with them, their point of view and their storyline more than the other characters, and everyone else is a compliment to them. But because they spent time with their love interests, Dan and Sean, we get to see a lot more about them as well. Even though Sean is also a point of view character, we get to spend time with him alone. But I like how we had Dan be a character where we got to learn about his past, his present, and his future, by proxy of Yoke. That was genius. That was genius. Genius directing, storytelling. It was so effective. Now I kind of wish. We all wish. I wish he would have told them what happened? Like, oh, they blackmailed me. They did this, did that. They did this. I had to do this, and I'm gonna, whatever the case may be. Because at the end, we got this little reunion. I'm assuming months later. I don't know the timeline. I wasn't paying close attention, but I was like, how y'all reunite? Yeah, he punched you and you apologize, and y'all like, okay, we together. But like, what about your parents? They just let you leave. They didn't. The guys who you beat up, they didn't tell on you that you betrayed. Like, what? There's some missing pieces. And I just want to know what's going on with that, or at least give us a little bit more time with them at the end. I think that their scene was too short. Their reunion was too short, and obviously they couldn't kiss because he was bleeding. But like he could Yo could have kissed him on the forehead a little, but we got affection. That's the thing I will say. Even though there was a lot of kissing in this show, but there was a lot of skinship that felt so real. It was, yes, the show kind of leaned here and there in the fan service category, but it felt like a real couple doing that, not these like fictional characters. They felt really real. So their affection they had with each other, that touching the back of the neck, the arm, holding each other, it all felt real. Like when he had the bullet in his arm, when Yoke embraced him, when he was crying, when he was painting him or drawing him, like it was. Oh my gosh, y'all! I just can't. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. Dan's character, his dynamic with Yoke, the writing. I love it so much. I love it. You saw my reaction. You saw how I felt. I have to stand. I have to stand. I love it. All right. Before we get into the last three characters, you may see what I'm wearing. I designed it. This is my apparel line, Disnudo. You can go shop disnudoshop.com. It's linked below. We have headbands, hats, hoodies, shirts, tank tops, towels, blankets, the whole nine. So if you want to help support, feel free to shop. Okay, Gumta. Let's see. Mm, I mean, he's like the definition of support character. He was like the father figure. No. Let's call him big brother figure to the boys. He seemed to train them. He seemed to know how to help them in situations. Now we didn't get to see anything about his backstory, his point of view. There was no storyline. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. There was no storyline with him by himself. What his goals were, what he's trying to do beyond the group, beyond their mission. Um, but I do like him. I know he was the most suspicious, especially when we saw the preview of someone portraying him. We thought it was him because he knows a lot. He seems to be very on top of everything. But he wasn't. He was, the big brother figure, the voice of reason. He really helped them out in the pinch, and that hug, the scene when they got out of the van for because the protesters, and they all hugged each other was so, because we saw him hugging Yoke first. Obviously, Yoke felt like his man betrayed him, which he did, and like he got shot, so he was going through it. So him embracing him and holding him, it just made so much sense. Like it made like it was insane, the emotion, and like you kind of felt how much he cared for them, especially when Yoke first brought Dan to the thing, and Sean was like, "Oh no, you won't." And then like even when Sean won that fight with him, Gumta still talked to Sean. Was like, "Listen, you need to come on, come on." And Sean was like, "All right." And again, he did it again. He's always a voice of reason and kind of the more level-headed and kind of putting the guys on the right path. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, White called him up to help them when they had those drugs and stuff, and they was gonna get caught. He was there. He pulled up. He pulled up. He knew where they were at. He said, "Y'all come through. I got y'all." Like it was insane. It was insane how, even though he was just a supporting character, how awesome he was. You know what I mean? I guess I do like him. I could go either way, back and forth, if we get a backstory for him. Like I like him, but I don't know if I like him enough to want to know his deal. But I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, Gupta story." I don't know. I'd be like, "Okay, let me watch it." But like, I'm not fiending for it. I mean, I'd rather know Namu and and Todd's backstory rather than Gupta. But like, I like him. I like him. Maybe I don't love him as much as I love everyone else because he's the actor played that serial killer in Bigger Boys. Maybe I'm like, it's getting a little weird, even though it's a different character. But that actor played that role. He played that role. All right, next character we have is Yoke. He is my favorite character in the show. Mm-hmm. Sure is. Sure is. I was surprised that he was our secondary point of view character. We saw his family, his mom, and their dynamic, how their missions affected her, him finding this artist that he saw that he was so, entranced by his hunt for the artist. He finds him, he flirts with him, he draws them, they fall in love. Like this scene when they first meet for real and talk when Dan kidnapped him and brought him to that place and he was just like all tied up like you wanna he was being all flirty, it was intense, and then after he let him go, he was up on that man's bed chilling, and then he was bold enough to say, get naked, I'm about to draw you. You drew me on your little thing, I'm gonna draw you now. I was like, my dog is bold. He bold. Now, one of the things that I wish would have happened because we got the relationship, we got them together. He met them. Dan met his mom. We saw him at school. Like we really spent time with Yoke and his character and everything, and like having him bring Dan and fighting for him to be in because he felt that that's what needed to be done. What I would have liked, and this is so minor, like it's not that serious, honestly, but I would have liked it because it's set up that he has a close friendship with Graham. That scene early on, I forgot what episode it was, maybe 6, I believe, where they're talking about their relationships and love interests and whatnot, and Yo grabs Graham's face to see if he feels anything. He's like, "Nah, I feel it with you. You my bestie." I wish we would have had a scene where they would have talked again, like a follow up. I wish he would have told Graham about Dan. It would have made so much sense because in the scene where they thought they got betrayed and they're in the truck, and you see Graham yelling at him. You said you did all this for a guy. It would have made sense if Yoke had confided in Dan. If Yoke would have confided in Graham about Dan, and kind of like and Graham being like, okay, Dan's cool, especially when he talked Sean out of, I guess, killing Dan. Remember that scene on the bridge or the thing where he's like, "A life for a life. You killed my father." So like in that moment, Graham was one of the voices of reason. Like he was like the voice of reason. He really talked him out of it and like, kind of like calmed down the situation. I think him realizing how much Dan means to Yoke would have made that scene more powerful. It would have made the scene in the truck more powerful, and it would have made him spitting in Dan's face even more powerful. Like it would have all made sense if he would have seen Yoke confide in him. You know what I mean? He could have co-signed because that scene where Yoke and Sean were fighting to see if Dan could be in there. I ain't see Graham nowhere. Like Graham has been missing MIA with the group a few times in critical moments, in critical gang moments. I'm like, where he at? He should be here. Like I know he probably was out here chasing Eugene, but like, come on, come on. Like they could have had him there. Um, Now I kind of wish we had a moment with Yoke and Gupta as well. Just another moment, just kind of just. I just wish we had a few more character interactions, and they could just be so minor. A quick little scene, a quick little moment. Maybe the show could have put in a product placement to make it happen, so they can like interact with each other real quick, so we can get, we can marinate in the friendship and the camaraderie with the boys. I mean, we did feel them being a group, and and whenever they did fight, they had a reason. We saw that, but I just kind of wish we got a bit more context because we don't know how the group was formed when it started, why they put up with Black, like I don't, like what I mean, like there's all these different things that we don't know about, and if we would have just had scenes of them interacting a bit more here and there, just kind of here and there, nothing too much. Like I don't want to have added scenes that take up too much time. I mean, hell, episode 6. I think episode 6 is the most fillery type of episode in the whole show. I believe that's the episode where, wait, was episode 6? it's either episode 6 or 5 or 6, where they spent the first half with monologues and explaining the plan, which was important, but it gave me like, y'all could have showed us this. You know what I mean? Like there's a scene where White was doing a whole monologue to Sean while he was drunk, and I'm like, not me. This is boring. I don't. This scene, this lecture it ran on too long. I'm not saying it wasn't necessary, but it ran on too long. And like they all sat around the table and talking about the plan. That could have been a moment of them showing us them doing the plan, so we could have got it done quicker. You know what I mean? We took up part one and part two doing the planning and monologuing, and then we got to the thing. And I'm like, it slows the story down a bit. I would rather we would have had character interactions during that time and solidifying the group dynamic and how they are. You know, his closeness to Gunta, maybe, like, you know, that would have been great. And I do like that he does have a friendship with Namu. He talked to her at the end, and he also talked to her about finding Dan's artist persona. Was it Yunar? So like I do like that. I just kind of wish we had a few more moments. But Yoga's my favorite. Like his mom and his dynamic with the mom, and like his love for Dan and his affection, and he just it was A1. Next we got Graham. I feel like Graham, like in the fandom, is like a polarizing character because I guess he was in love with Black in the novel or the source material, and in the show it wasn't the case. Even though it was hinted at that might have been it. I think that because of White saying like, "Oh, he must be in love with Black," you know, that's the whole situation, and that being the case in the source material, that everyone thought that was the case. I was like, well, Graham didn't say none of that. I mean, we saw the scene where he kissed her when she was sad, so maybe he's into her. Everyone was like, no, 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 he's in love with Black, yada yada, and like even White did not even bring it up again no more. After he found out, he was like, oh, okay, bet. Now it did seem like a missed opportunity. Graham only having him be like, okay, so like he was the inside member that was kind of against after that whole protest in Pride Parade. He was against the whole them doing these missions. He want to go to the protesting route and do it that way. If he would have got more scenes with him and Nutch, kind of changing his mind and kind of making us feel like he really believed that, because he brought it up and then he was coolly dismissed and he was like, okay, I was just saying, Ooh, I was just saying, you know, like he was like, I'm gonna go with it. And then anything else we had with him was with him trying to sway Eugene, and that's all he did for his own like storyline. Like his own storyline was her. It was her. And I kind of wish we had more. Like I wish maybe we found out the reason. Like why is he's going against the system? Like why is he in the group? What makes his friendship with Black different from everyone else? Because Black seems awful. He was awful. And we know why Sean don't like him. I'm not sure why Yoke don't like him. And I think Gumta and Black have like a respect for each other. I don't know their dynamic fully. Like we just know that Black was awful and Graham was his bestie, and you know. Now I know people felt some way about him taking Black's ex-girlfriend. I I understand the sentiment. I do. I mean, I don't think I'd be homeboys if that were the case. If I was Black per se, but at the same time, given if Black don't mind, I don't mind. Like, cause some people can do that. Some people are like, I don't mind. Like, y'all can date. Like, I'm Gucci, and they're cool. But I understand why people are like kind of like upset by it. But I don't think people make it like seem like Graham did something so heinous by trying to date Eugene after all these other characters doing. Like, Black beat Sean to a pulp. Yo got shot. Dan got shot. They got kidnapped. Todd got Black beat up. Oh, but Graham taking Eugene. Oh, that's too much. I don't know, y'all wilding on that one. Y'all wilding on that one. Like I said, I wish we had a little bit more of why he does what he does, or his reasoning, or a point of view that wasn't a point of view storyline that wasn't had to do with Eugene fully. Like, I wish we had a little bit more. Maybe she did something that kind of made him like her. You know what I mean? Like, or see, I think Nutch is his ex. What's going on with that? Why they broke up? Why they broke up? How they get together? What was going on with that? You know what I mean? Like that'd be kind of cool. But I do like Graham. His hair was everything. The hair was giving. The hair was giving. Next we have is Sean. Off went off on this role. Sean. We got to see Sean through the eyes of White's point of view. We got to see Sean on his own point of view. It's been a journey. It's been a climb. No Miley Cyrus. It's been a climb. You know, we got his reasonings for wanting revenge, his reasoning for, not liking Black, justified. Them killing his father, not letting him know what happened, all these things, and then Black left him to get caught, which was insane. And then he fell in love with White, which I don't know how that happened. Now, I do think because White's presence changed the dynamic of the group, changed their point of view, changed things, and especially after realizing when White was sabotaging the mission, he had a reason to, and like he explained his reason and what they can do instead, and then Sean realizing that, and I guess his heart, grew bigger, and they fell in love, which I like the idea of that being a reason why he starts to see White, Black at that time differently. I just think they kind of got booed up so quickly. I wish we had like one more episode where they were kind of navigating their dynamic, and it just, they talked about like, I don't know. I feel like that might have been them slowing down the storyline if we would have did that. So why not speed up a little bit? I just kind of wish it was a little bit too fast. But it was nice to see that the characters, after they became a thing, were so affectionate, so caring with each other. It was so devastating to see him have his heart broken because he's gonna ask White to be his forever and always, his OTP, and for him to run into what he thinks is White, or at the time he thought it was Black. He thought he was falling in love with Black, even though he was suspicious. He was like, I don't know, because you act a little different, Black. You act a little different. I don't know, but he met up with Black. And Black beats him up, and he was heartbroken, went to Namu, and like it was a lot. And even after that, when he got shot, wait, did he shoot shot? I think he did, right? He got shot after he got beat up during that raid, and White saved him, which White came in clutch, saved him. Even though he was upset, he still was like, all right, bet, cool. Because he was upset. He's like, get me off this bike. Almost crashed them. And then they actually did crash for another reason. He was like, okay, wait a minute, and like, it happened twice actually. He was so mad that he was like, get away from me. But then he was like, okay, but like, I love you though, so we're gonna make it work. He did it that time, and he did it again when he woke up and White was gone, and White was running away after Black told him like, leave my brother alone and I have a twin. He finds everything out. And he goes into to find White, and White is like, okay, I gotta leave you. I can't. We can't do this. Even then, he was willing to rock with him. I mean, at first he was heartbroken, and I felt bad because the first time he was heartbroken, he went to Namu crying. I was like already like feeling it, but then he got heartbroken again when White was like, I gotta go my own way. Gabriella, High School Musical, I gotta go my own way. He was already going through it again, and then when White, I guess, changed his mind, which the whiplash, the back and forth Sean's going through with his boy is insane. Sean was like, no, and then White's like, nah, we're gonna be together. And he was like, all right, bet, but you can't leave me again. Fool me twice. Okay? Fool me twice. It won't happen a third. And I love that scene when they went on that little mission and he held his hand like, I'm keeping you here because you be playing these games. I'm not finna get caught out with you. I'm not finna get caught. You finna play me one more time. You're not playing me again. I really like Sean. And I feel like he calmed down because like it was insane. That fight with him and Yoke, when he was going in on him, I was like, Sean, you're wilding out. No, ma'am. That was brutal. But I do think because of everything that happened, he would have already harmed Dan when he found out that Dan killed his father. I in my heart of hearts, if the things that happened with White changing his heart, he was buck wild trying to say take your life, but like he calmed down. Like, he was way more calm, and then Graham voice of reason, Gupta voice of reasons kind of really helped it out. And I love how he basically, like he didn't bluntly say, but he basically told Gunter like, me and Black, we boot up. We boot up. And like that scene where like they tell him like, oh, this is White, his twin brother, yada yada yada. And then we see Graham, I guess, touching on White, and Sean's like, oh no 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 ma'am. You may have took Eugene from Black, but you ain't taking White from me. And you finna play me. And he was like, oh, you jealous? I am jealous. How about that? How about that? I love that he was claiming his boo thing and was like, I don't care. And he even was like trying to kiss him, and he was like, ugh, stop. He's like, what you talking about? When we alone, when you love the kisses, you when we in the little tent on the roof, you love it then. Shauna had me cracking up. Um, I really like his character. You see the change. You see this how he was in the beginning to how he. I love when they do that in these shows when they have a character change. Different. They're not completely different, like personality wise, but their thought process. They kind of let me not be so aggressive. Let me not be this way, that way. Let me think things through and think about things more rationally than emotionally. I mean, he still was emotional. He really was, but you see how he softened and he wasn't as reckless. I think he has some since he cares for White so much. He has something to care about more so now. He has love, I guess. So he changed. I really like that. That was really like I felt like his character came full circle. I wish more shows had character arcs. They do character arcs in that history series a lot. With characters are one way in the beginning, they change over time due to things that happen, and they're different at the end, or a better version of themselves, the best version of themselves because of their love interests. I love that. I love that for Sean. The next character, let's go Black first before we do White. Black. He came in clutch at the end. He did come in clutch, but his character to me was so unlikable. I mean, and we only knew about him through other people, like White getting to know his brother through these folks after all these years, and he had to adapt and act like him. It was a lot. It was a lot because when he came back, we saw how he was and how he is. I'm like, I'm glad Eugene ain't with him. I see why Sean don't like him, and I wish Sean and Black had a moment to like reconcile their differences because he played him back in the day, leaving him to get caught, and then he beat him up. Like I know they had that talk when they were like chained up, but not really, not really. Like they need another moment, another like kumbaya session or something because ain't no way. And then Black's dynamic with Todd, insane. You know, because he's very harsh, aggressive, and insane almost. But his love for his brother is very on the forefront, which I love. But he's reckless with it, and then his dynamic with Todd, like what is with all that? That's a toxic relationship right there. Their whole dynamic, insane, insane in the membrane, insane in the membrane, y'all. It's wild. It's getting wild, and I was shook, shaken, and stirred, shook, shaken, and stirred. Like I said before, I wish we got an interaction with him, with his parents, see what's going on with that. Maybe more interaction with him and Graham. Maybe they're supposed to be best friends, and all we got was them kind of fighting because he tried to kiss Eugene after. Like I kind of wish we had a bit more dynamic with that, and maybe Gumta kind of talking to him now, like because Gumta knew that he wasn't him the whole time; it was White. So like I wish we had a little bit more moments of interactions with Black and the boys because he kind of was like Batman. He came and he came out. His only like point of view was with his brother and with Todd and like the group a little bit, but that was it. I kind of wish it was a little bit more. And like that scene where he got them out the hospital, or he got himself out the hospital, yo, why he was whooping their behinds. Gunn playing this role. I heard he was exhausted. You guys left a comment saying he was exhausted after playing both these roles. I can see why. Them stunts and shows he was doing. At first, with Black's character, I didn't like him. I felt like he was awful. By the end, I don't dislike him. I don't like him, but I don't dislike him. If that makes sense. I'm like, okay, why you use how you are, and you made amends with your brother, and you're like, you're fine. You saved him, and like, but it'd be kind of lit. I'm not gonna lie. To have like a solo film with Black, maybe we get like make like a prequel. We'll have a Black in his storyline, how he started this whole gang and this whole revolt thing with Todd and his route to becoming the gang member, meeting the boys, and then him getting beat up, and then and halfway through we get to see him after the whole thing we saw in the series, what he's doing next, because he's not staying with his brother. He's like wandering the world, I guess. That'd be kind of cool, a cool movie to kind of to see. What do you guys think? Last but not least, we have White. I do feel like maybe after Yoke, he might be my favorite character. I'm kind of torn because like Yoke is my favorite, and I feel like I do like White and Sean, and I like Dan. But I'm not, who's next on my list? I want to say it's White. I want to say it's White because he's a point of view character. I just I don't know. I feel like he really changed the boys in the group, and they also changed him. He was more meek and soft in some aspects. Not fully, not fully, but in some aspects he was. And then when he realized his privilege and what he was contributing to society, he was like, "Oh, I don't like this. It's spending time with Graham and Nutch and kind of figure out things." And then the boy, and then the protest. Like his character arc was immaculate. Him learning about his brother, him trying to adapt, but him also trying not to change things, and it was insane. Like he was being like Sherlock Holmes, trying to figure out the mystery about Graham and who beat his brother up, and like it was a lot. It was a lot. And I think that his character really, maybe because we stuck with him so long, it wasn't until like maybe halfway later on that we started to see more points of views outside of Yoke, points of view characters like Sean's story and like what's going on with other people. But I just feel like White really, he's like the heart of the group. I mean, he changed everything. I wish, and I kind of wish, like I said before, I wish we had more character like interactions. If he would have been like, I don't know, friendly with Dan, maybe he can, because he seemed like he sympathized with Dan, especially when Dan portrayed him in the hospital. He had this like an inner monologue about that. I wish we had an interaction with him beforehand, maybe because he is a cop and like White was on the other side of things at one point. It would have been cool to have them have a moment, a dynamic with each other. It would have been nice. It would have been nice to see that. But overall, I think that White's a great character, complex. He almost left Sean because his brother came back. Everything was a lot for him. You could tell even during the beginning, everything they were doing was a lot for him. The missions, the back and forth, his thought process. He was going through. He was going through it. Now, out of all the characters, he did annoy me the most. I like him. He's like one of my favorites, but he annoyed me the most, especially when he was acting the goddamn fool on those missions. And I think I don't disagree with his thought process and why he wants to change things up. I do think that it's a time and a place. He over here sabotaging the missions at the factory. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. And I'm not saying he deserved to be choked out by Sean, but you was acting up. White, you was acting up, and you were. But I do love that, when they got together, it was just so nice, and to see them, you know what I mean? Like it was just so great. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Not Me the series. Like I said, I wish we had some more character dynamics shown, some side stories maybe showcased a little bit, maybe a little bit more backstories. But other than that, the show's my favorite. I do think that the climax, the last episode, we missed a middle part. Like maybe some interactions could happen in between because the beginning of the episode and the last part of the episode were great, with the middle there was nothing in the middle. I kind of wish we had more in the middle. But overall, I really, really, really enjoy the show. I cannot wait to see you guys' opinions of the characters below. Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite character? How do you feel about the characters in the beginning versus now? What would you want to have seen? What would you would have wanted to? Oh my gosh, I can't say that. What you wanted to happen in the show? What did you want to happen? Let me know. If you enjoyed this, let me know by giving the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.